This is Providence Television International, the game changer.
Welcome to the newspaper analysis on Providence Television International. My name is Ogwebo Ikekwa. To analyze the papers this morning, I have with me the CEO of Providence Television International, Dr. Emmanuel Igariba. You're welcome to the studio.
Well, thank you very much. The call of duty took me away for quite some while, traveling some parts of the country. But it's good to know that this is the first program for the month of May.
Yes.
And I wish all our viewers the best of the times.
Exactly. Well, Providence Television International, as the game changer, will always keep you abreast with recent happenings. Today happens to be World Press Freedom Day. And who else can talk on this event other than my guest in the studio?
Well, thank you very much. Before we go into the details of that, let me just quickly say that we appreciate what our viewers have been saying. I am particularly enthralled by what these three people said. Joseph Adekunle from Abeokuta in Ogun State here in Nigeria. Stanley Igbenige, he spoke from Oslo in Norway. Thank you very much. And there's this young lady, Jane Adigwe, from Copenhagen, back in Denmark. So I thank you all very much. Please keep on telling us what you like about the program, and that is a big tonic for us. Now, World Freedom Day, World Press Freedom Day. Yes, something very peculiar about that. We are part of it, actually. And you can see the microphone, which we also use, is in chains. Okay, that's very symbolic, which means that the press ought to be free. Exactly. That's what it means all over the world. It's not just a localized issue. It's a global event, you know, and the United Nations recognize this very, very well. I want to say that press freedom all over the world, it has the same coloration. Whether it's in Denmark, whether it's in Germany, whether it's in South Africa, whether it's in Nigeria, it's the same principle and the same demands, okay? Now, I'm looking at 5 issues, really. Maybe we can talk about them one by one. Okay. Freedom of information. Information must flow freely without any encumbrance. We've always talked about this. There must be freedom of expression, particularly from the press, and there must be insurance policy for media people. Okay, we've talked about this before, really, but because the reason is they work under very strenuous conditions. Sometimes their lives are at risk. They go to war zones, you know, and things like that. And so we, the employers, need to put them on insurance scheme, particularly those that are government operated. All right, media houses that are government operated. Right, that's number 2. Number 3, harassment in the course of duty. We have seen this in this country many, many times, that security people will harass press people, media people, journalists, and they'll get away with it. And I think there must be special legislation, particularly in this country, that culprits should be adequately punished for this kind of thing. We have had situations where cameras were seized arbitrarily, where people were caned, so to speak. We have had situations where journalists were beaten up by security people. And I don't think that is right. It's not right for the operatives. It's not even right for the image of Nigeria. And it's happening all over the world. You know, even in the U.S., as free as the U.S. is, you have situations where people are really battered in the course of duty. And I think this must stop. There must be special legislation to be in place against all these atrocities. That will go a long way in giving meaning to press freedom. Now, I also want to talk about adequate remuneration, for instance. Some media workers are very badly paid, in spite of the things they do, in spite of the pressure points that they have to go through. I think that we need to go the whole hog in ensuring that people are well taken care of in terms of welfare and all that. And the last one I want to talk about is the conducive environment, conducive workplaces. Okay, some media houses I don't want to deride any organization, but their workplaces are inadequate. The lack of equipment, lack of all kinds of facilities, and the press guys work very strenuously to ensure, even when they work around the clock, almost 24 hours. So there must be all these things put in place for press freedom to be meaningful, and to be. I really do think that these are some of the things we need for press freedom to be meaningful, and for the press people, journalists, and the media people generally, to be sure that they are working in very conducive environments.
Now, this brings us to the Freedom of Information Bill. We don't have anything like that in Nigeria, although it's a bill that has been passed.
Yeah, sure, but the press is still being gagged. Okay, unfortunately, the only part of the media that's relatively free now, I mean, in terms of press freedom and freedom of information, is the government-owned media. And I think that everybody should be put under one umbrella. Okay, there should be no segregation, really. What is good for the goose, they say, is good for the gander. All right. So government, they particularly get edgy when it comes to private organizations. They are freer with government institutions, for instance. But I think that in the course of it, if you want the best, for instance, you go to the private media organization. That is what's happening. I'm not saying this because ours is a private media organization, no. But it's the norm, as we have seen in this country. And don't forget, too, that, and we have observed this, I've personally observed this, the government, when they want to do an event, they want to cover something, they believe more in the private organizations because the private organizations that give them the best. All right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, I've worked in a government-owned media organization before I came on board here to Providence Television. I do know that there are strictures around government-owned media houses. There are strictures. They have limitations.
Exactly.
All right? They can't go the whole hog.
What brings me to my next question, the issue of censorship.
Censorship is there. I mean, that's why I talked about this. Censorship. In fact, it's not just censorship, self-censorship.
Okay.
Yes, even when government is not particularly concerned, you censor yourself, and it doesn't make sense to me. All right? And in any case, why must we always start with government stories? That is very common with government-owned organizations. Oh, the governor has done this, the president has done that. Yes, it's important, but there are human angle stories that sometimes are more important. All right? So you start with that. Okay? So we must start with that. It's so laughable sometimes. Even little kids in the primary school, they can project, the news is coming up maybe at 9 or 10 for some media organizations. The president has done this. The governor has done that. Primary school pupils, they can always, and this has happened to my knowledge. So, the president has, they are going to start. If I was somewhere one day, a little kid of about 7, he was mimicking the news presenter. And he said, Daddy, please, they are going to start news about the president. 6, 7 years old. Yeah, it's as bad as that. So there must be a latitude of calm weather where government-owned institutions can pound their chest and say, yes, this is the right thing to do, and this is the right way to go.
Well, Providence Television International. Well, we would always be in front when it comes to being the game changer. Let us now move down to the front page of the Saturday Punch newspaper, where we have 80 billion naira found in sacked MD's bank accounts, $3 billion refinery fraud. Port Harcourt, Warri, Kaduna refineries MDs arrested. Kyari, 13 senior ex-NNPCL officials face probe. Those
that were used to criticizing NNPC, I think they have been proved right. Yes, being the avenue for this kind of thing, movement of funds and stuff like that. They've been proved right, okay? And this is quite scandalous.
Exactly.
This is quite scandalous because NNPC is supposed to be the hub. And that also means that a lot of undercurrents have been going on. Are you even sure that that is the best they can discover in the process? There may have been a few other issues or areas where they have not touched at all. Okay? That's why I think that for government, it's necessary for them to totally overhaul NNPC. What happened in NNP some time ago, I'm sure you realize that. I don't even know if it's still happening now. For a long time, the refineries were not working.
Exactly.
And the salaries were being paid.
Salaries were being paid.
Were being paid for non-performance in this same country. So for that to have come out now, alleged though, but I know that when things like this happen and they get to the press, you must be sure that there's some elements of truth in the allegations. Yes.
And something like the Warri refinery, which we were told was working, it is very obvious that even those in Warri have confirmed that that refinery is not working.
Obasanjo said it. Obasanjo said it, the former head of state. He said it. Yeah, of course, naturally, he knew so much about the facility. He said, look, that thing was a scam. That's what he said, to quote him. Yes, and that's what we are seeing now. NNPC, who could have thought that billions, we are talking of billions,
exactly.
now have been stacked away and found in the MD's house.
Yes.
I mean, what can be more scandalous than that, you know? And at the end of the day, we are coming back to it in the next few months or thereabout, and you discover that nothing has been done, you know. So, and that is only one part. NNPC is just a microcosm of what is happening elsewhere, right? So, government, and I trust President Tinubu has said that yes, he's going to be on top of the situation. Well, just watch and we'll wait.
Okay, let us also watch, wait, and see what happens. Let's go to the Saturday Telegraph, where we have Atiku to Tinubu: rein in your son. Nigeria not a monarchy. Allegation of abduction, torture by factional non-presidents, fake news. This is coming from Sheyi Tinubu. There has been this issue as regards the president's son's activities. In the first place, it is in this country that we find the office of the first lady. We are gradually going to having the office of the first son.
Well, I don't know about that, but you see, my concern really is the first son. And sometimes even the first lady, they are always in the shadows. For example, the first son is usually in the shadows. Except now perhaps we know that he's probably going in for a governorship of Lagos State. But even at that, the young man must carry on very well as if he doesn't even know anything about the presidency.
Exactly.
And I think that's what people are saying. Whether he abducted or beat up the non-president, that's outside the issue. The issue, he has denied it, and I think it's left for the security forces to dig out the truth, as it were. But my advice to Sheyi is, and this is true, be in the shadows. Don't chest out just because your father is the president. No, that's not the best. Okay, I saw a clip the other day. I think it was going to Katsina, a visit to Katsina, and the convoy was almost a kilometer long. You know, that kind of thing. No. I don't think that is necessary. No, he shouldn't be doing that. You know, because he rubs off on the president. You know, and I'm sure that the president himself will not like it, the way he's carrying on. Although the Afenifere has said that, oh no, that didn't happen, the incident between him and the non-president, that it was a political issue. Yes, fair enough. But my advice is that he should keep low, you know, so that the president will not be unnecessarily influenced negatively. Yes.
All right. Let us now go down to the front page of the Saturday Independent, where we have why Ajaokuta still has failed to take off 40 years later. But then, wait for it. Over 6 billion naira budgeted as salaries to non-existing staff in 2025.
Did I not say it a little while ago? They are still paying staff salaries.
Exactly.
For doing nothing. It happened in the case of NNPC. Remember, it's the same principle. I mean, law, for instance, we say the case is on all fours. Okay, so but that's what is happening. And by the way, our viewers should be interested in this. There is no country in the world that can develop without the steel industry. It's not possible. How are you going to do it? It's not just possible. It's a mirage. Okay, so to develop properly, you must pay attention. In England, for instance, it's been a long-standing thing that Birmingham, you know, is the home of steel. Yes. Okay. In the United States, a place like Pennsylvania, you know, in Germany, all of that. So you have special places preserved, for the development of steel. We have one in Ajaokuta, we have one in Alaja. Moribund. And yet we are paying staff. Yes. The Russians, I know, came a few years ago to raise up the one, to resurrect probably, the one in Ajaokuta. But was it Ajaokuta or Alaja? I can't remember, one of these two really. But things just didn't work out. And yet we are talking about development. How can we develop? You cannot develop without iron and steel. How are you going to do it? It is not possible. So we must go back to the drawing board and make sure that these things work. If they don't work, it's a pity.
Now, how can the issue of salaries being paid to ghost workers, how can such issues be curbed?
Well, I think, yes, the federal government authorities have a say in this, because it's a federal government project, by the way, just like NNPC. So, but now that it has been brought into the public domain, I'm sure that the president, realizing that he wants to fight all these breaches, should be on top, I keep using the phrase, on top of the game, so that people will know that, yes, the president can walk his talk. Yes, I agree with that.
All right, we'll be going next to politics. A whole lot of defections from one political party to the other. On the front page of the Weekend Trust, is Nigeria drifting to a one-party state?
On paper, yes. Why not? I mean, we have seen it. Everybody is gravitating towards one party.
One party, yeah.
All right. But that is not even good for the party itself. Because a lot of people are saying, oh, very soon, just wait for it, there will be some kind of implosion where they are going to. All right? My good friend, Chief Lucky Igbinedion, said a little, I think about a day or two ago,
about 2 days
that
ago.
wait for it. Those who are running to another party now from PDP, they will come back. Yes, and there's this movement. Nigerian politicians, I really don't know. I don't know. I think one of the papers in the editorial, so I think The Guardian, they call it bread and butter.
Yes, exactly.
Bread and butter politics. You know, and very soon, the party you're into will be congested. And then you're talking about implosion. All right. I would wish, quite frankly, that most of the people in this drama now could just have stayed where they are and make sure that the party they belong to is working. It's working. I mean, there are problems all over the place. There's problem in PDP, there's problem in Labour Party, there's problem in SDP. These are the frontliners, and they are running towards one party. Excuse me. Just because the party is the one in power. Yes, you can contribute to nation building without being in the party in government. You can. I mean, look at Oti, for instance. Oti, in one of the eastern states, belongs to Labour Party. But he's saying that, look, my relationship with Tinubu, I get close to Tinubu not because I want to join APC. It's still a Labour Party.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You can be, and that's a good thing, really. You can be in Labour Party and be a friend of the president. There's nothing wrong with that. Maintain your lane. Stay within your ambit. You can still be a friend of the president. Good friends. But you share different ideologies. That's what politics is all about. But in this country, do the parties even have ideologies, so to speak?
And so it brings us to the next question. When you talk about opposition party, the role of the opposition, are we going to find that in Nigeria with the present trend?
The major role is you are the voice of the people. You must stay by the people. That's what opposition is all about. You must stay with the people. Not necessarily to antagonize the government in power, but you can criticize them meaningfully, objectively, to be sure that they're on the right lane. That's the job of the opposition. Okay? Elsewhere around the world, everywhere around the world, that's the job of the opposition.
In Nigeria, do we have that present?
I don't think so, because, I mean, look at the opposition, and they're all drifting.
Drifting, exactly.
Yeah, towards the party in power. Yes. And that is why Sule Lamido said that it will weaken PDP and it will also weaken democracy. Because for democracy to thrive appropriately, you need a strong opposition. Yes, in any democracy, you need a strong opposition who can voice it out loud and clear. You see, because the government in power can make mistakes. Those within that same party cannot criticize appropriately. I mean, for obvious reasons. Exactly. So the criticism must come from opposition parties. Yes. That's what happens then everywhere around the world. The criticisms against the party in government must come from opposition parties. But opposition parties in this country Look at what has happened in Delta, for instance. And thank God that maybe today there should have been a heavy implosion between Oborewori and Omo-Agege. Omo-Agege is a chieftain of APC. Now, Oborewori has come to declare that he's the leader of APC. And thank God that the president has come in to simmer things down appropriately. Otherwise, we will have been having problems in Delta State that I'm talking to you now. Yes, that's the situation.
Well, we could go on and on and on, but then I've already been signaled that the next program is coming up. But just before we go, as usual, a parting shot from the CEO.
My parting shot is related to what I've been talking about. Our party leaders should learn to stay within their lane. Oti is just a one governor from Labour Party, but he can make things happen to be an exemplar to other governors within that enclave. All right? So that's one parting shot. The other is that I think in the next couple of days, or next 2, 3, 4 days, we should be having either a black smoke or a white smoke from the chimney back in the Vatican. Yeah, the world is waiting to hear the arrival of a new pope.